Today I wanted to talk about yoga as a remembrance. I've been talking about some yoga principles in recent videos, and I received this message from someone. She says, "So many points resonated, and I found myself nodding along as though these were truths spoken from somewhere within me that I'm finally hearing on the outside. They were familiar and reassuring and comforting." And I just want to validate that, because the practices of yoga are actually described as a remembrance, that we're not actually learning anything new as we're exposed to these principles and these teachings. We're actually just remembering that which is already deep inside of us. When we're born, we are naturally sattva. We are balance, harmony, light, knowingness, clarity. And the process of human experience results in us building layers of cloudiness around us, and we forget. So there's times in our life where we hear things or we have experiences that resonate as our truth, because it is. And those are times when the veils are pulled back a little bit, we'll say. And that the practices of yoga, and ideally our practice of life, would be to continue to clear the veils thereafter, to access more of our truth. Because as we continue to cultivate that remembrance of this wisdom that's deep inside of us, then we experience more reassurance, we experience more comfort that prevails in the times of disturbance. And that is one of the most wonderful things that I've gotten to experience, is a state of peace and clarity and faith that is stronger than the confusion that is out in the world. Prior to the practices of yoga, in my more extreme states of forgetting, then I could get so easily caught up in the drama, in the distraction, in the pain, and in the suffering. And as I've continued to remember, and as I see students and clients continue to remember and experience these truths in them, that no matter what is going on around us, or no matter what's going on inside of us, because sometimes the mind is what feels incredibly dramatic and uncontrollable and tumultuous, that regardless, we can have a state of peace. And as we have that peace, we can access our clarity and our knowingness and have that sense that all is well. And my teacher would often say that we have the ability to create heaven on earth, regardless of what's happening, that we can still have, again, that state of reassurance, that state of comfort that was described in the note that I read. And so yoga is a remembrance. It's a coming home. It's a coming home to these truths, to that peace, to the lightness and the clarity that is in us. And so those veils, as they get moved away, then we get to experience that more. Some of you might have had that experience. And again, it's just that validation that you're touching into yourself as spirit. And the more that we do things through the practices of yoga, through the practices of natural living and being in nature and being love, doing the things that connect us to be love anyway, doing the things that allow us the space to see people and see situations as spirit, which I talked about in one of my previous videos. The more that we do that, then the more lightness we create on the planet around us. There definitely is a lot of darkness, and I also experience that it's sometimes hard to filter that from coming into my space. But we definitely have the capability, and we have the ability to move more toward the light and to cultivate that and have that remembrance of ourselves as eternal spirit, of other people as eternal spirit, that we can have that be prevalent. And the more that we cultivate that within our consciousness and allow our consciousness to expand in that way, then the more our experience will reflect that over time. And so the practices of yoga are here for us. The practices of yoga are based in nature. So you can consider yoga, again, taking a walk and being conscious. You can consider yoga being aware with your breath. But then there are, of course, more classical practices like the mantra and the meditation and the yoga poses that help us to remember. Because again, that state of feeling comfort, of feeling reassurance, and of feeling that we have the answers in us of how to find peace and how to find joy, that is available to all of us, each and every one of us. And that's part of why I am very much committed to my practices of yoga, and also very inspired to teach, and especially at this time. And so I just encourage everybody to do those things that have you connect more in with what has you feel calm and clear and inspired. And when we do those things, then we are building sattva. And the more that we build sattva, the more that we experience truth, the more we can experience that all is well. No matter what our internal environment is, no matter how crazy the mind is or what it's running around with, no matter how dramatic things are on the outside, that we can have that state of equanimity within us. And that is our power as human beings. And that is where we can be of most service to ourselves and to the people in our lives, to our communities, and to humanity as a whole. And so may we all continue to remember. Namaste.